Tonight, on Real, we meet a man who has fought his way back from being a quadriplegic in Wings. And later we're given a cause to smile in meeting the CEO and founder of TLC for Kids.
There we go. Enjoy.
So what time's Anthony coming?
He should be here in a minute. You sure you two have never met?
No, I'm pretty sure we haven't. I know of his work, but that's about it. So I'm actually looking forward to meeting him.
So you should be.
So I think this might be him now.
Oh yeah, it is. Hey Anthony.
Hey Rach, how you going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So this is Alana. Anthony.
How are you, Alana?
Good, thank you.
So you're a documentary producer too, right?
Yep. And I've heard you've just finished working on one.
I have. It's about an old school friend of mine, Erwin, and he was working in Fiji to become a pilot, and he got hit by a car and was meant to be a quadriplegic.
It's intense.
Yeah, when Anthony first told me about it, I thought this is definitely a story that audiences would want to hear about.
And that's why I wanted to tell a story. It's a very emotional and a powerful story. So yeah.
Can we take a look?
You can. I've got a copy right here.
But they said he won't be able to move anything under his chin. Then I said, no, stop, it won't be like that. You'll see my son will be walking again.
I remember the collision. I remember the fear and thinking, this is it. I remember the strange sensation on my neck. I remember not feeling anything on my body. The next thing was not being able to breathe. Slowly my breath was fading away. And I remember telling myself, calm down, Erwin, calm down. And slowly I got a little bit of breath back, and a little bit more, and eventually the fear of dying at that moment had gone, but it was a struggle. Would have been about the age of 14 that I went to my first flight camp, where I had my first experience of flying, and flying lessons in particular, and from then on I was definitely sure that I wanted to go all the way. I will never forget taking off. Feeling the ground come away under the seat was amazing. I cannot explain the feeling. It's just sheer elation, sheer adrenaline. I suppose the main feeling of flying is adrenaline and excitement to be doing something that not many other people are doing, and to be viewing the world from a different aspect, I suppose. And every takeoff and landing for every pilot, no matter how experienced they are, is a thrill. When I graduated from high school, I had a restricted private license, and about a month after, I got my full private license during the summer holidays. And over the next 10, 11 months, I got my commercial and my instructor rating and my instrument rating.
He was always interested in the planes, I would say.
He loved the idea, not just the plane itself, but what he would be doing and, everything around it.
Fiji was offering nearly double the amount of hours a year that I would have been flying. And so I said, yeah, that's definitely the best option for me now. And I didn't mind to go to Fiji and see a new country. The day of my accident was a Sunday. Jumped onto my scooter, took off from the office, turned one corner. I remember seeing a student walking by, and I remember waving to him, and driving ahead at an intersection, and I noticed that the car wasn't looking like slowing down.
They just cut in front of him and he collided frontally with the car, with his helmet. So that was a sort of a hammer action which actually just compressed C3 and 4 and automatically disc got smashed. And one little fraction from that disc went inside the spinal cord and caused severe hemorrhage inside. With some magic, nobody knows how, Erwin kept breathing.
So at that first moment, you are not in a panic, you just don't get the message straight away. And he said, yeah, he's fine. Doctor said it's a spinal shock, probably. He can't move his arms or legs, but doctor said it's a spinal shock. He will be fine till tomorrow morning. And I said, well, Nick, do you want us to come? Do you think we should come? Oh, no need for that now. And that was it. Then when Armin came and Hannah home and I told them what's happened, I said, can you please call? He tried to call, he tried to speak to Erwin, but he couldn't speak much really, and we realized it is something more serious. Then is that panic attack coming, and then you don't know what to think, you just want to disappear.
I got to Australia from Fiji on a commercial airline flight, so we organised for me to be on a stretcher, flying to Melbourne.
The longest 5 hours in my life, standing above my child and saying, please concentrate and breathe, please breathe.
Initially when I got to Melbourne, the fear had subsided a lot. As soon as the aircraft touched down, in fact, as soon as those paramedics came through the doors, back doors, as soon as I heard their accent, their professionality, I knew I was safe. So initially being at the Austin Hospital in particular was a huge relief. To see a nice clean hospital was amazing. The treatment I got there was amazing. Although soon after we did realise that not everything was perfect. My parents were pulled into a room and my sister as well, and they were told that I would never move anything below my chin ever again.
It was like a family meeting just with the doctor, and he just sat there and said, you're going to have to start thinking about wheelchairs, about moving house into a more suitable house, and we just all stared at him like open-mouthed. And then Mum obviously started bawling her eyes out and saying, no, you're going to see it's going to be different.
They obviously went through a very bad time at that stage, but decided to pick themselves up and keep me as hopeful as possible. So the doctors never even had the chance to say to my face that I would not walk. I was told time and time again that they do not believe that I would have any more improvement, that I would stop improving after a certain amount of time. And consistently I proved them wrong, and actually I thank them for being so negative towards me, because it produced that much anger and motivation that they had no hope. I was always going to overcome it, and I always will. To get back to flying is a constant motivator. That's the dream before the accident, that's still the dream now. I spent 3 weeks at the Austin Hospital in Heidelberg. That was followed by 12 months at the Royal Talbot Rehabilitation Centre. When I first moved my thumb, that was the very first movement that I got back. It was on my right hand. After that, gradually things started to improve and everything seemed substantial, everything seemed major. It became feeding myself, it became walking with the frame, walking with crutches, being able to sit in a car, and it continues.
Erwin realized as he's developing, his improvement is really going in a turbo speed all of a sudden in the Royal Talbot. He can see that he can achieve things that nobody else could expect from him, and he started talking to other patients. And all of a sudden other patients start improving, start showing results. In a Royal Talbot, when you couldn't ever seen anyone walking, all of a sudden there was 5 or 6 patients walking. All nurses coming to us, what's happening here?
From day one, I've always resisted taking anything from medications to extra pillows in bed that would make my life easier, because I know that it's not normal. Normal is to do everything for oneself.
With the progress so far, there is no reason not to expect the full recovery.
The emphasis in my mind was always on recovery, getting back to life. Never did I consider the fact that, you know, this is a disability or that this is permanent.
It's just a matter to find the beauty in your life even when you fight. And it's amazing when you learn how good feeling it is when you start celebrating the movement of one little finger. Those small achievements become monster things. Like, you know, you went on the top of Himalayas and you move one finger, but you know that opens the door for everything else.
Don't lose the faith. Just stay strong, stay positive. Just continue whatever you need to do, but don't lose the faith.
To be actually in the air again, that dream will never go away, it will never diminish, and I will always do anything possible to get back in the air.
Anthony, that was a really powerful documentary. I mean, Erwin just seems like the epitome of courage, down and out, and just rises above.
Yeah, the way Erwin and his family sort of opened up and told the story was really, really amazing. So yeah, it was good to work with them.
Did really well. So you got any other projects going on, or?
I just have to wait and see at this stage, Rach. Just one step at a time.
This one's always Mr. Mysterious.
Anyway, girls, I better be going. So it was nice meeting you.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day.
No worries, I'll see you
Hope to
soon,
catch
Rach.
up with you soon.
Bye. Wow. That was
Intense.
great. Yeah, that's great.
So is Ali going to be here soon?
Well, she should be. She's generally really punctual, but I don't know what she's up to today. Speak up. There she is. Ali. Hello, Ali. Good. How are you?
You know me, good as always.
Good.
What have you been doing lately?
Actually just finished off a documentary.
Okay.
Oh, what's this one about?
It's about a children's charity, TLC for Kids, and the amazing work that they do and how they survive the global financial crisis. Do you want to check it out?
Yeah, of course.
We got to a stage where it was just basically impossible for us to receive donations and funding. We honestly thought that it was going to be the end. It's still a constant struggle to make sure that we're fulfilling the request and getting the money in so we can spend it and get to more kids. When we're going through that stage where there was no money in the bank and it was pretty dire, and it looked like we were having to close our doors, because we'd been working with the hospitals and getting to know what was needed, it was easy to identify saying the situation would be very grave. For us, it was that frustration that these kids need the help, and they're going to need the help tomorrow, they're going to need the help in 10 years' time. If we turn our backs on them now, there's nobody that will help them. TLC for Kids was founded in 1998. Most of the kids that were in the hospital at any given time didn't fit the criteria of a lot of the bigger organisations because they had already had support in the past. They had a different illness, so a lot of charities are set up that are very illness specific, which is fantastic for children with those illnesses. But unfortunately, if you don't quite fit the criteria, you may miss out. I had a chat to a lot of the doctors and nursing staff, and I found out what was needed, and it was literally a charity that would work with any child for any reason, any age also, and something that was very quick. And that was one of the main criteria that was missing from a lot of the support services, because there was a time delay with the kids actually receiving support, especially when they needed it urgently. They were falling through the gaps. Kids are still falling through the gaps, and we're doing our best to catch as many as we can. We've actually put ourselves in a position where no matter what illness, health situation or stressful situation might occur from a health-related issue, we are dealing with it. We were hit really hard during the GFC. It was huge. It had a huge impact on the work we were doing. Back then, it was devastating to think, we might not be able to be there, because there's only a limited number of donations that you can receive and that can be given. Basically, there's with all the charities that are registered in Australia, we're all vying for the same dollar. So that can only be split up in so many ways. So we thought, well, the only way we can maintain services is if we actually reduce the number of staff. We prioritised what we were doing, and we thought, well, we're here as a charity and it's a service, so we're all expendable. And at the end of the day, if there's a dollar in the bank account, well, that dollar has to be used to be helping a kid. Our proudest thing is we maintained services. Nobody had to go on a waiting list, and we still fulfilled every request. Basically, the requests come through from any hospital around the country, and it's 24/7 the service is available. What happens is, literally, I just received an SMS which says, I've got a rapid TLC request. So that's come to the phone. Basically, the request that I fulfilled this morning was for a DS XL. And again, there's no waiting list, there's no time delay. It averages out at about $500 per request. However, we might help out a family 10 or 15 times. So it's not limited to one request, one time. It is literally how many times we need to be of assistance. So it's taken a lot of years to develop it and make sure that we've spent a lot of time researching on the quickest and most effective way to communicate with healthcare professionals, but also the delivery side of what we're doing, because it's probably at 95% of the work we do is internal, that's not seen by anybody. And that 5% is the delivery part, which a lot of people say, well, this is fantastic, you've just done this. But there's this process that we've been able to condense down, so it doesn't take hours upon hours to try and process it. We don't have to make hundreds of phone calls. And as I did mention, we don't have the waiting list, or there's no red tape for the kids to have to cross in order to have a simple request fulfilled. And the idea is to have it done as fast as possible, alleviate the stress and give them a little bit of a break.
TLC for Kids, for me, means more than words can say. I remember I was in hospital. I was a little bit sick at that stage of my life, and Tim rang the head nurse at the hospital. So I got on the phone, and Tim put on a deep voice. I had no idea it was him, and the guy on the end of the phone asked me to put one leg on the chair and stand with my hand on my hip and, look like a teapot. And I thought straight away, it's got to be Tim, it has to be. And it turned out it was, and he said, now that you've done all that, would you like to come to Queensland? We're organising what we're going to call the trip of a lifetime through TLC for Kids. We went to SeaWorld, Movie World and Dreamworld. I had a ball over the weekend, got up nice and early one day to watch the sunrise, and to be asked to go on the trip of a lifetime, it was a massive thrill. It was just what I needed at that stage in my life. It was another stage where I was pretty sick at the time, and wasn't sure what the future held. So yeah, I'm forever grateful, and I have great memories that will last me a lifetime.
facing what happened with the GFC, it made us aware that this could happen again. The financial climate is not stable by any means, and a lot of people get a little bit of false hope and thinking, well, okay, that's done. Now let's move on to bigger and brighter things. But it's being prepared and being aware of what can happen. So we've taken a lot of steps to make sure that we won't be in a situation where we'll have to let go staff and have to possibly reduce services. So we're looking at a couple of campaigns that will be Victoria-based initially and then Australia-wide. And with these campaigns, it will certainly help generate enough funds to keep TLC going, that we won't be reliant on the next donation coming through from a corporate that's might be hit by another situation where they can't afford to keep on giving. To be honest, every single cent that's given to the organisation is worth $1 million to us, because somebody's worked very hard to give that money over, and to hand it over to someone, it takes a great deal of trust and effort. And we think, well, you deserve to be acknowledged, but you also have a right to know that, well, your money's actually making a difference. We're definitely looking at strategies to make sure that we are here for the long term, and the funding we generate will be put to the service to make sure that it won't be affected by whatever happens around the world. Our focus is to make sure that TLC continues on for the next 30, 40, 50 years, as long as we need it.
Ali, that was great.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. What was it like working with a charity like that?
Look, it was really rewarding, and they are just amazing people, and they were really kind and patient, considering none of the crew had ever made a documentary before, and we had like 6 weeks to put it together, so...
Wow, so none of you had made a documentary before. How was it? Did you run into any problems being first-timers and stuff?
Look, we sort of did. We had a few issues at the start, but we worked out our story structure, and you know what, we all had a blast, and hopefully something positive comes out of it. Lots of people find out about TLC for Kids, and yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Sorry to love you and leave you, but I have another meeting, so this was good. We should catch up for coffee again.
Definitely.
Yes. Sure.
Excellent. All right, I'll see you later.
Bye, Ali. You know, it's got me thinking that all we do is kind of sit here and make coffee. Maybe we should...
I feel a bit late, to be honest.
I think we should get together and make a doco.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Any ideas?
Wow. I'm thinking, seeing as we spend all our time here, that these are two girls, producers.
And
They
good
have-
looking.
Obviously. They come together and they run
Next week on Real, we'll be returning to Monique and Tom as they tie up the series. They'll watch Turning Point, a documentary about road safety and the worrying attitudes that young drivers have when getting behind the wheel. The final documentary of the series will leave you hooked. It delves beneath the surface of body suspension, a pastime that is definitely not for the faint-hearted.